How's it going, everybody? It's your boy Linux back with another video for you. And today we're going to be doing a tier list, a WoW cities tier list. We have all the cities from Classic WoW to BFA, but I'll just throw in Shadowlands, the Oribos, was it? Yeah, I think it was called Oribos, and the current expansion, Valdrakken, the Dragonflight main city. Now, before we get started, I just want to get this out of the way real quick. I am not going to be basing this off of the layouts of the city, really. I don't really care about the layouts. I'm going to be doing mainly off of aesthetic, basing this off of aesthetic, and, you know, just the general look, vibe of the city. And now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. So our first hub city is going to be Booty Bay, and I like Booty Bay. I like the whole pirate dock harbor vibe of it. It's a nice place to stop in while you're visiting, while you're questing in Stranglethorn Vale, which I think the level range for Stranglethorn is like, what, 30 to 40? So in your classic adventure, you could stop in and, you know, do some pirate activities. So our first hub city, Booty Bay, I think I'm going to go ahead and give it a C tier. It's a good city. It's not amazing, but I do like it. I do enjoy it. So C tier. Borealis, this was the Alliance hub for Battle for Azeroth, and I loved Borealis. It was great when you were playing Alliance during BFA. It was nice to just sit AFK in the city. The music was good. BFA music was good. Not so much the expansion. I'm just kidding. It wasn't awful, but Borealis, I liked how you could fish off the docks right next to where everybody was, kind of in the main part of the city. And I like the look of the city itself, the architecture of the Coltirans, and yeah, I just liked being there. So Borealis, I'm gonna give it a B tier. I think it's a little bit better than Booty Bay. Moving on, we have Dalaran next. Now, we had Dalaran twice throughout WoW's expansions, once in Wrath of the Lich King and then in Legion. And I didn't play in Wrath, so I couldn't tell you if players were fond of that or not. But I can tell you how I liked it in Legion, and it was okay. It's definitely not my favorite city. I don't like how it was floating in the air. I mean, aesthetically, it looked cool, but when you wanted to go to the other zones, you were basically forced to fly to them. You couldn't, like, just walk to them. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but I would just like to have that option if I wanted to. Just, you know, like, explore the zones or whatever. And the auction house, the flight master, it was all kind of in one area, so it's not a terrible city, but definitely not my favorite. I think I'm gonna give Dalaran a C tier right next to Booty Bay there. Next up, we've got Darnassus, and I actually really like Darnassus. The city hub is built right on top of a tree, and who the fuck doesn't like that? It's literally on top of a tree. Walking into this hub for the first time, like in Classic WoW, or whenever you started playing, is literally breathtaking. It does not matter. It's one of the most unique cities in the game. There's rivers and ponds throughout the hub, which, like, you know, provides a neat look. I like how there's literally ponds inside of the city. And I like Night Elf architecture. The buildings are nice. They haven't changed since Classic WoW, I think, but I still like them. So I think I'm going to put Darnassus at a B tier right there with Borealis. A good city, but definitely not my favorite. It's up there, though. It's definitely up there. Our next hub up is going to be Dazar'alor, and I am not a big fan of Dazar'alor. As a Horde player, an avid Horde player, I was in this city a lot during BFA, and I absolutely hate the amount of stairs this hub has. I would always get lost in there, just going up the stairs. I don't know if it was the stairs or just the layout, but I would always get lost. I would get so frustrated, and it was in a fucking hub city. I don't know how that happens. Literally the only hub city that I got lost in, I think so, that I can think of. And I do like the view that it had, like, over the water and over Zandalar, I think that zone was called. The view was really nice, but the actual, like, city going up navigating those fucking stairs, it was awful. I hated it. So Dazar'alor, I'm giving it a D. The only reason it's not an F is because of that, the view over the ocean and the forest and shit. Next up, we've got the Exodar. And who the fuck even goes to this hub city? After Burning Crusade, literally nobody went to the city, and even Burning Crusade, nobody did. It's literally a floating spaceship rock that the Draenei live in, and I was never really a fan of the sci-fi shit in Warcraft. Not really my cup of tea. I like the fucking hairy, sweaty men fighting vibe. And I just think the Exodar is straight up boring. I don't think there's that much to say about it. I don't really like the look. Floating spaceship rock. And You know, I'm just gonna do it. I'm giving the Exodar a fucking F tier. Nobody goes here. Next up, we've got Ironforge, and now we're talking, baby. Now we're getting into the good, juicy cities. I love how Ironforge is literally built into the side of a fucking mountain. How cool is that? It's one of my favorite looking cities in World of Warcraft. I love how there's like lava flowing into the sides of it, or like in the floor. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's where all the cool kids hang out, where all the PvPers, you know, I think in Vanilla WoW and back in 2019 Classic. And it has giant dwarf statues. Who doesn't like that, man? Giant dwarf statues. So, Ironforge, I'm gonna do it. I'm giving it an S tier. It's one of my favorite cities in WoW. You can't go wrong. Moving on to Orgrimmar. Orgrimmar is really one of the staple cities of the Horde ever since Vanilla WoW. If you're a Horde player, I'm sure you have lots of memories in Orgrimmar. I do, just from, you know, sitting AFK or just doing random shit, talking to other players. Lots of memories here. I'm very nostalgic about it. And if you actually like pay attention, I think it's built into like a fucking valley, like in the cliffs or whatever. So it shows that the orcs are they're good at adapting to their environment, and they're what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I look like an idiot now. I can't think of it. But I think I do like the Cataclysm version of this of the city a little. Orgrimmar. Fuck, I can't talk right now. I think I like the Cata version a little bit better than the vanilla version, even though you could jump off the bank and all the other stuff about classic Org that everybody loves. I just like the look of the Cataclysm version. So enough talking. Orgrimmar, I think I'm gonna give it a. Oh shit! Look, the B tier and the A tier reversed. How was that like that the whole video? How did that happen? Oh, here, let's fix that. B. Hey, there we go. All right, we're good now. Orgrimmar's an A tier. Next up, we've got Shattrath City, and I hated the look of this city, and I hated the layout of this city. I am not a very big fan of Shattrath at all, and there's honestly not that much I can say about it. I'm sorry, Shattrath lovers. I know a lot of people are nostalgic about it. TBC was a long time ago. I didn't play in TBC, so I don't share that nostalgia. Even though going back to it in TBC Classic, it wasn't awful. I mean, I couldn't say I enjoyed being there, but I didn't hate being there. The Tauren band is pretty cool though. The Horde band, I forget what it's called, like the Tauren fucking Warriors or whatever that band is called. They're cool. But Shattrath City, I'm gonna give it a D tier. I'm not that big of a fan. Next up, we've got the Shrine of the Seven Stars and the Two Moons, depending if you were Horde or Alliance. This is the Mists of Pandaria hubs. It wasn't even really a city. They were so small. It was two shrines, literally. And they were so small to the point, it kind of feels like we got ripped off a city, you know? I feel like Blizzard could have made such a cool city in Mists of Pandaria with the aesthetic, but they didn't. They just chose two small-ass temple shrine things. And the zone that the actual shrines was in, I loved that zone at the beginning of MoP. It was literally beautiful. It was such a good-looking zone, until it was corrupted by Garrosh. Then I didn't really like it that much anymore. And in current day WoW in Dragonflight, there is not much reason to go back here, probably little to none, but I still like the look of it. It's not awful. I'm going to give it probably a D tier. Moving on to Silvermoon City, the city of the Blood Elves, and Silvermoon is probably my favorite hub city in terms of the looks slash aesthetic. But it really needs to be redone. I think it's still rocking the same models that it was back in 2007 and the original Burning Crusade. So it definitely looks outdated. It needs to be redone. Hopefully whenever they do that Azeroth revamp that I think they're hoping they're gonna do. Was that leaked? I don't fucking remember. But it just needs to be redone. And here's one question. Why the fuck can we still not fly here? It's been since TBC and we still cannot fly in Silvermoon City. And besides that, the city's usually dead as shit. There's nobody here. But everywhere's dead in retail, so it doesn't really matter. Silvermoon City, I'm gonna give it an A tier. It's definitely one of my favorites. Moving on to Stormwind City, and I feel like Stormwind City is your classic fantasy world kingdom, you know? Fucking Dungeons and Dragons, World of Warcraft, whatever. Just your classic fantasy kingdom. You know, you've got a king and his throne, and he's ruling the kingdom. Only thing about Stormwind, this is where the noobs hang out. You know how, like I said earlier, Ironforge, that's where all the pros hang out. All your fucking raiders, your PvPers. This is where all the noobs hang out. The statues are cool in the front gate when you walk in, but other than that, there's really not too much to say about Stormwind. It's pretty basic, just your average kingdom. I like it though. I'm going to give it... I'm going to give it a C tier. Fair rating, but it's not that special. Next up, we've got Thunderbluff, the hub city of the Taurens, another city that's been in the game ever since Classic WoW. And I'm a big fan of Taurens. I absolutely love Taurens. They're probably my favorite race in World of Warcraft. And I love Taurens, so I love Thunderbluff. You know, that's just the way it works. Jokes aside, I actually do aesthetically like the look of Thunderbluff. I'm a fan of Mulgore, just like the green plains and just the look of the zone. I'm a fan of it. I like green, the color green, so I like Mulgore. And I like the totems, they look cool. The tents and just the aesthetic of the Taurens in general, the tiki fucking tribal aesthetic. It's pretty cool. I like Thunderbluff, and I like Taurens, so I'm gonna give Thunderbluff an A tier, one of my favorite cities in WoW. Next up, we've got another classic WoW hub. We've got the Undercity, which is one of my favorite hubs in the game. I love how it's literally Loiteron. It's built under Loiteron, and it's like a little hidden fortress for the Horde. It's where all the cool Horde players hang out, where all the good Horde players hang out. The noobs go to Orgrimmar. And it can be a little confusing to navigate sometimes, even if you're good at the game, or like you know, not new. If you've been playing for a while, it could still be a little hard to navigate, but I love the look of it. There's like fucking acid pools at the bottom of it. There's dead zombies everywhere, undead. It's just cool. The aesthetic, I like it. It's badass. I'm gonna give it an S tier. It's the Horde's best city. So since this tier list is a little bit old, Oribos, the hub city from Shadowlands, and Valdrakken, the one from Dragonflight, the current expansion, those are not on the tier list. This is a little bit outdated, but I'm gonna go ahead and put them on there anyways. You just won't be able to see the pictures. Oribos, I feel like this is a lot of people's opinions on this city, but I absolutely hated this city. I feel like it's one of the worst in the entire history of WoW. It feels like an airport. That was like that was what everybody said about it. It's an airport. Oribos, the airport. There's no connection to the zones. It feels like you're in outer space and you're just looking into the void. It did look cool, like kind of aesthetically, but I didn't really like it that much. It just got old really quickly, and Shadowlands got old really quickly, and it was just boring as fuck. Like, you would just sit there and nobody would talk, and I don't know, nobody was happy in Oribos. It was just a depressing city. It's an F tier. Oribos, F tier. Even though you can't see it, but it's F. And our current hub city in Dragonflight, Valdrakken. And I like Valdrakken. It's definitely grown on me. I love the looks, the aesthetic, the layout, like the whole dragon, and just the nature-esque, the lakes that are in there. Not really lakes, but ponds. It's got one of my favorite layouts of any of the hubs. I think it's laid out very well. The Seat of the Aspects is a nice touch. You got, you know, just Alexstrasza and the other ones just chilling up there. The view is really cool from the Seat of the Aspects. You can see all the other drakes flying off in the distance. And the zones are really good in Dragonflight, so you can look at the zones while you're on the Seat of the Aspects. And so Valdrakken, one of my favorite cities in WoW. Where am I gonna put this? I think it goes right there at B with Borealis and Darnassus. Yeah, Valdrakken at B tier. Sounds good. So in conclusion, guys, the hub cities are important. You want the hub city to look nice. You want it to be interesting. You want it to be special, because you spend a lot of time in those cities in each expansion. You know, that's where you're supposed to be. That's where you're AFK. That's where you're alt-tabbed watching Netflix, eating pizza. So, you know, you want it to look good. You don't want it to be fucking boring. And that's pretty much it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you guys want to see in future videos. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.